camera projection is actually quite nice, if especially if you have like motion tracking on your scenes. For example, if you want to project a scene on your video, but you want to add like blood effect and stuff, but you couldn't really get it right because again they're not really in a 3D space and stuff. Well, you can actually do that using Blender, obviously. So I'm gonna look up for a video that I can use to show this effect. And to do that, we need to at least have a uh, track video, basically. I'm gonna close this all tabs here, and I'm gonna go pixels. I'm gonna look for a simple video that we can use. So we're gonna look up for, let's just say, highway, and I'm gonna look for a video. So we have a video here. Let's see what any of these videos can do. Like that. Looks cool. Now let's check another one if you can see different versions. Static. Any kind of moving shot will be really nice if you're using camera projection. So I think, to be honest, the first one is actually quite nice. This one. Yeah, this one. Download it. Gonna take some time. Meanwhile, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna go to Blender, and on File, gonna open up a new VFX workspace, and double save. So now we have this VFX workspace. Gonna check on my download again. Where is it? Okay, still downloading. Gonna take some time. Okay, now we have our video. Okay, keep in mind that this is not a tracking tutorial. This is a camera projection tutorial, so I'm not going too in-depth on making motion tracking. There's some couple tutorials that you can check on YouTube on how to do this, because again it's quite complex and it takes quite a amount of time to learn how to actually do it well, and not 100% you can actually do this on the spot unless you're a professional like me. But okay, we're gonna do this quick and easy. We're gonna track a scene, and then we're gonna show you how to do this camera projection. So I'm gonna open up the video. Gonna open up the clip. Gonna press set scene frames and prefetch to prefetch our video into our memory. It's gonna take some time, so we're gonna wait till this thing is finished. Alright, it's done prefetching. Now we're gonna change our frame rate again. So we're gonna go to this rendering output right here. I'm gonna change the frame rate and then change it to the same one. If you forgot what's the frame rate, you can just check it here, and I'm gonna match it. So 29.97. There. Now we have our scene up and ready. Now we can do some basic tracking. So I'm gonna zoom in our scene, and I'm gonna move a couple frames to see what part of the scene that stays along in our video here. So I'm gonna zoom out, gonna go in the middle here and check if there's anything on the scene. So again, we're actually moving quite fast. The scenery kind of changed a lot, but if you check on the camera, it doesn't really change a lot in perspective. You only move like quite in a location, just going forward. That's basically it. So before we're gonna track it, we're gonna check this tracking setting and make sure we're gonna put it as fast motion, because again the car is kind of a bit fast to set it up anyway. So we're gonna look up for any features that we want to track. Any kind of like high contrast image will be nice to be tracked, like this guy right here. So we're gonna hold control and then I'm gonna click it, and then if I press shift S, I will show this search region here. So the more bigger it is, the more farther this point will search for this point here. I'm also gonna check it on track here to see what's the current track right now. I'm gonna change the black and white because it's easier. So if I go and press track markers, the L1, I'm gonna keep on tracking until it loses tracking. You can do it manually using this one frame by frame, but I want to go with automatic. This is gonna take some time depending on your computer hardware. Right now I kinda lacking of RAM right now, so it's gonna take some time for me to do this. And again, we'll be fast forward again. Okay, it turns out the resolution of our video is quite too big for my PC to handle because it's 4K. I'm gonna change this back to like a standard HD video instead, so I'm gonna change it. Okay, now we have this thing. Can I select anything? Stuff on there. Go back here. Okay, so gotta change my resolution because right now it doesn't match with the current resolution there. So I'm gonna 1366 and 720 at the bottom. You only need to change this if the resolution doesn't match with the current video file, especially if we want to record our video as our output and we want to add like some additional stuff to it. That's basically the reason why we need to change, because again, if you have like if you have the wrong resolution, it will not render really good or correctly, especially if you're gonna have like issue with stretching and stuff. Right, now we change our resolution. Let's do track it again. I'm gonna look for any spots. You can do multiple tracking as well if you can. So let's select them all and then press forward tracking, and it will track it forward. Yeah, there we go. So you can see it tracks more, but it will lose this track instantly, so that's quite normal because again we're changing perspective there. But again, we only know want to get the location. So again, we have this point here. Let's select them all, and then gonna track it backwards. Oh yeah, another thing that I forgot to change is the tracking settings. I'm gonna wait till this thing and I'll change it back again. Usually if you messed up on your tracking settings, I'm gonna do it again, but it turns out the tracking kind of works well, so I don't really have to work through too much on the settings. Okay, so we have track here, but we have track here, but we don't have track in the middle of here, so we're gonna try to overlap it in between it. So we're gonna look around and see any details that I could track on. And again, tracking takes a long time, so if you have some scenes that need it to be tracked, you should do it, because again, it's a fun learning experience. But sometimes if you have less time to do those, it's better not to actually do it, because again, it takes a long time and we don't always have time to do any post process on your video and stuff. So make sure when you set up your your work and all, make sure that you have time to actually do it. Okay, I'm gonna track it back, and yeah, it's quite nice. Move it here and then track it forward. Okay, done. As you can see, it tracks till the end. Kind of neat. And another thing that I realized, there's kind of a kite there that doesn't change in our scene. So I'm gonna track this as well. So I'm gonna track it backwards. Okay, cool. Gonna move it here, and then track it forward. Right, done. That. Okay, I'm gonna go to the end here, and you can see the scenes kind of change a lot. In tracking, you need at least 8 good tracks across the frames. You can go to a previous frame to like get more frames and keep on tracking it. But sometimes if you have less good track, it will not really work. Do it here again, track it backwards. Right. Okay, I'm gonna try and take a quick sets here. I don't want to have a lot more here because this is just a tutorial on camera tracking anyway. So I'm gonna take this frame here, gonna copy it at the end. So we only have the scenes here. We don't have anything else. Okay, if we play this, we should be able to see it running right now. You can see how many tracks we have. We have a few tracks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 tracks. Should be okay because we only need 8 tracks to make it work. We're gonna set it to keyframe, automatic keyframe, and we're gonna refine our focal length, optical center, and that's it. We don't need radial distortion because again this is not distorted. So we're gonna solve camera motion, and we have 0.14 pixel. That's good. Anything below 0.5 should be okay, especially in tracking. So if we move this, you can see it's quite nice. So we're gonna change we're gonna put our scene into our 3D scene here because right now we don't really see it here, right? Okay, so we're gonna scroll down and select the middle here, and we're gonna set it as set origin. So our origin will be there. If we set as background on our scene setup, you can see our video now overlaying our 3D space. This is kind of nice. And we're gonna also set up our tracking scene. And now we have our scene, and if we'll move the scene, you can see our block actually move as well. And this is kind of nice. Gonna add a new workspace, general layout, to show the full 3D workspace again. And if you don't see the video, just move our timeline forward to see it. And if you can see, our video is kind of like behind this 3D model. Make sure to select the camera and our small camera icon here on a background image. Set it to front, and now we can see it. You can also change the opacity if you want to see the 3D as well. So yeah, you can do that. So before we do anything else, I actually want to position our camera first because again it's quite not matched with the 3D. So I'm gonna go to the first frame, I'm gonna rotate it, then zoom it out, and to do that we have to press N, view, and then on lock, enable camera to view, so we can then adjust it like a real camera, the viewport camera that we have, and it will be more easier. Okay, like this. I'm gonna set it here. Okay, so when you enable our setup tracking scene, you're gonna have this 2 things here. This is called shadow catcher. So anything the shadow cast will be cast into the shadow, will be rendered in our scene here. But it only works on cycles. So if you have a good GPU, you can change it to cycles. So if I can change it to rendering, you should see the shadow of our cube here should work. So I'm gonna remove this camera real quick. Yeah, you can see the shadows there. It's okay, but again, we want to use Eevee because it's way more real time compared to the others. So I'm gonna delete these two things on our scene, and also delete this collection because we don't really need it. We only need our camera and our light in our scene. I'm gonna add a plane. I'm gonna drag it more, kinda like this, and on our tab, I'm gonna rotate like so, then scale it more. And if I move this, we should be able to see that it's on our plane and not really way out as we think it is. Okay, now we have a plane. We are ready to do our camera tracking. Camera projection. To do that, we need modifiers. When we take our camera here, we want to project the textures based on the camera and then project it to here. There are two things that we need to add. First, okay, make sure to go to modifier first. Okay, first that we need to add is we want to add UV project. This worked by taking the UV map of our model and then convert it into a screen space UV wrap in real time. So I'm gonna select our UV map here because it's already have a UV map in it. On our object, we're gonna select our camera. Okay, now we have our camera projecting UV in here. Okay, watch when I add a material on our camera here. So I'm gonna make a new material. I'm gonna set to projection. Okay, spell that wrong. Projection. And our base color, I'm gonna press the small circle. And then I'm gonna put image textures. And then I'm gonna click this one. Oh wait, no, I have to change the it's not in there. Okay, I'm gonna press the open button and then I'm gonna go to that download. Okay, now we have this really weird looking thing. So if I go to the top by pressing 7, I should be able to change my UV by pressing U to get the scene to be corrected. It doesn't actually work, but that's fine. Okay, now we also need to set our start frame and frames here. We're gonna take this and frame our scene, and we don't need the offset, but we need auto refresh. So if we play this, we should see it's moving like that. And again, we don't really see it really well because I don't know, it just doesn't work well. And in our vector, we want to set to orange UV. I think we need to add one more workspace for easier modification. So we're gonna go to general shading, and our shading should be able to work on it. So we have our UV connected to vector and connected to base color and everything. Yeah, it should be okay. Another thing that we want to add is on our modifier is subdivision surface. This will add divisions on our thing, on our planes here. So I'm gonna change it to simple because we don't want to warp our model here. We're gonna change it to simple. And we're gonna increase our level viewport to 5 as well as the render. I'm gonna drag it up here and change it to viewport shading, and we should be able to see it actually projected our textures based on the camera. So if I go back to layout and I move this, notice how it actually moves related to our camera, which is kind of sick. But again, we have this weird thing here. We want to remove that, and that's because it's actually a tile, so it repeats the textures. So we're gonna go to our material tab here, make sure to repeat the clip. You can change it on surface and just go to clip. Now we have that thing, the projection only. Okay, I'm gonna press 0 to check on our video, and you can see it's a bit out from the camera view. And that's because we need to set the aspect to 1.78, and if it doesn't work, and a bit weird. Just I don't know. Let's scroll it into it fits like that. Again, this is a ratio, so if you have a way to actually precisely calculate that, that would be cool. We can just add it in here. But for me, 1.89 will be okay. So if I play this video, you can see it actually projected to our mesh here. So if I move it out from the camera projected to our plane here, which is kind of neat. And okay, here's the cool thing. If I move our camera right now, notice how it's like a projector, right? It changes wherever there's plane here. It's just kind of neat. Okay, I'm gonna undo it back. Another thing that we need to add on our shading, I'm gonna select this plane here. We're gonna go shading, and on our emission, move our color to emission, so it will light up more. So if I go shading, we don't have that extra shadow and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Gonna go back to layout and add more stuff. I'm gonna put a monkey in our scene. So I'm gonna put Shift A, and then I'm gonna put a simple mesh monkey to put in the scene. So I'm gonna drag it, put it somewhere here, you know, just chilling in the middle of the road, and then add it in here. And again, our monkey here doesn't have a light in, so I'm gonna Shift A to add lights. I'm gonna put sunlight, then match it to the scene light. So I think the shadow is like here or something. Yeah, so I'm gonna change it. So you can see if I go to my camera, I'm gonna go to camera here and disable my background image. We should see it's moving, and our monkey here actually moves as well. So this is kind of cool if you want to add more like a building and stuff. You can do this same technique and I don't know, experiment more and do more stuff to it depending on what you want to add in our in the scene. You can even like carve out this road here, because again the road is gonna be like more static, and then maybe put like a river or something like that, depending on what you want to add in your scene. So yeah, this is a basic introduction on dynamic image projection. You can look more tutorials and stuff on how to fully use this features, and yeah, that's about it.